So I just want to start off by apologizing for how long this took. I've had this in the planning stages for almost 2 years, and it was initially supposed to happen in April, but unfortunately luck wasn't on my side then, and if I'm being honest, it wasn't on my side for the entirety of this project. We had recorded this in June with the intention of uploading this in July, but once I started putting everything together, I realized how daunting of a task this was, with almost 9 hours of recording, and it didn't help that there were so many times I had to stop working on this due to so many things going on in my life. There were so many moments I wanted to call it quits on this, but I kept pushing through it. Better late than never, but here it is. And I should note that there's quite a few outdated takes and jokes during this, since the recordings are dated both June 9th and June 30th, 2024. The special is gonna end with Zom 100. If I feel like making another part once newer shows are added, I'll make it, but for right now, this is the only time I do something like this. Now, I know I rambled on long enough, but before I let this play, I just want to give some shoutouts, because without these people, I wouldn't have come this far. Joshua Matthew and Silver Absolution of Toonami Squad, they took me on as one of their graphic designers when I was still a novice, and without this group, I wouldn't have learned so much and met many amazing people. Logan, Schmollus1, member of Toonami Squad, and subtitle editor for Discotech Media, just for being one of the best people I know and work with, and has given me the drive to keep going on this. Junior VT, formerly Caboose Jr., a former Toonami archivist, and someone that I was following long before I did any of this, and whose fake graphic templates got me learning and taking an interest in graphic design, and has helped me and taught me on many occasions, and someone that I'm glad to call a friend. And lastly, JP Reckless, graphic designer for Toonami Faithful, who has helped me many times when creating and supplied me some assets for these videos, and has also been a true friend. And just thanks so much to Logan, Sketch, Sam, SC Universal Toonami Squad, and JP for joining me on this special and putting up with all the problems that plague the making of this. So with everything out of the way, here is my very belated 1K subscriber special, the Great Toonami tier list. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy. Hi.
Hello.
A little bit of an unorthodox intro there, because I'm used to hosting podcasts, but this isn't a podcast, and this isn't for Toonami Squad. This is just something I'm doing. But hello, I'm Sam. I go by Sam6299. I am joined by Mr. Discotech Logan Schmollus1.
Yo.
I'm joined by Sketch of Toonami Faithful.
Hey.
And I'm joined by JP Reckless of also Toonami Faithful.
Yo, what's up? How y'all doing?
And this is something that I wanted to do for a long time. Getting it to happen was a pain in the butt, but finally, I'm getting this going, and we are doing a tier list ranking every single show aired on Toonami from 1997 all the way to the current year, 2024. It sounds like a lot, and it is. But I just, because I see everyone doing these tier lists now, and I'm noticing no one's done like a Toonami related one, or at least anyone in the community. So I said, I'm gonna do
you
it.
beat me to it.
Yes, I did. So, and unfortunately, there were some bumps along the road. I was going to make this a live stream, but I decided just to do a video that I'll premiere on the channel. But we are here. It's happening. So now let me just put the screen on. There we go. And you guys can see the screen, right? I got the screen share on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, now I did go back and watch a couple of shows, but I have not seen all of these. So some of these shows, only probably a few of you here might have opinions on. I know I don't with the first few, but I guess we should get started. So we're gonna start all the way back in 1997 with some of the first stuff to air on the block. So
Sword of Omens, Eye of Thundera, Thundercats, feel the power. Tonight at 7, only on Toonami.
I guess we'll first talk about Thundercats, the original show from the 80s. I'm gonna be honest, because I remember seeing ads for the 2011 version, and at the time, because I didn't use the internet a lot, I just thought that was a new thing. And then I think I remember seeing some old Toonami stuff, and they said Thundercats, and it's like, wait, that's an old thing, and it's like, yeah, it's a something from the 80s. So Thundercats, the original series from, I don't know the year, I just know it was in the 80s. Uh, I really got no opinions on this, so I'll leave it off to I guess Sketch or Logan. Have you or JP? Have any of y'all seen this?
Yeah, don't ask me about Thundercats. I didn't actually get Cartoon Network until like 1999, and I didn't really see Thundercats in syndication. But this is the thing about Thundercats. It was an institution. It ran like 130 episodes. It was hugely successful in syndication. So, and obviously they have rebooted it twice since.
Yeah,
It's not a bad show. For the 80s, it's pretty solid, pretty competent. Obviously the badass intro is the best animated thing about it. The song is very good. But, overall probably a
It's one of those.
C.
Yeah, it's like a C because it's one of those shows that it's a lot like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where if it was like your jam when you were a kid, it has a lot of nostalgia, but when you go back to it now, you're kind of like, yeah, it's still okay, but it's not like what was amazing when I was a kid.
It's
So
kind
like
of
it's not.
boring if you watch it
Yeah.
Yeah,
now.
like not a bad show, but not anything like, if somebody goes, "Hey, what's an old show I should watch?" I'm not going to be immediately going, "Oh, you should watch Thundercats."
huh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm kind of with Sketch because I didn't watch Toonami until 1999. So I didn't watch that much as Thundercats, but I knew I watched it. I'm aware of it because it aired around my local networks here in Virginia. So, but yeah, I agree. It's like it's a good show, like a good OG show. But nothing too. I can't put it past C. So
Hmm.
like yeah, so C is like
Yeah. I think even the most stout Thundercats fan would probably give it a B. Though if Paul Pascrillo was here, he'd probably be like S tier.
Yeah.
of course, of
uh,
course.
yeah, I was gonna say it was like wasn't like another thing about a lot of shows in like a lot of cartoons in the 80s with a bunch of them were just like glorified like advertisements for like toys and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
Pretty
Oh
Oh
much.
yeah.
yeah.
Now I will give Thundercats credit that it does have some, some character stuff. And it was pretty good for its time. But
Yeah.
even among 80s shows, like no, it's just not up to par with some of the 80s shows. So yeah, I'd give it a C. C for cats. C for
Yeah.
C
Thundercats.
for cats. All right, so I guess we'll move on to our next one.
So, we meet again.
Stop right where you are!
Our only chance is to throw our combined solar powers.
I have created the perfect warrior.
We're trapped in some kind of force field.
Go, my pets, and spread terror throughout the planet.
Why have you brought us here?
Let the battle begin! Your Highness, the Galaxy Trio.
At your service.
The baby needs a spanking.
This one, it's the cartoon roulette. Now, like I'm just going off what I've like heard of. So this was essentially like a shorts compilation, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, it was
something
all
like
the Hanna-Barbera action cartoon shorts. And they
so.
would run it like in it was kind of weird how they would run it. I guess like they would run Thundercats and then they would run 15 minutes of cartoon roulette, Then they would run, I believe, Voltron, and then they would run 15 more minutes of Cartoon Roulette.
Yeah.
A strange choice,
Mhm.
but these individual shorts. I mean, again, these old action cartoons are kind of boring when you watch them now. But there's a certain charm to most of these, and if we're counting the Fleischer Superman shorts in this,
I was gonna say, didn't they
it's
give the Fleischer
pretty good.
Superman shorts in there?
Yeah, is the Fleischer Superman a separate ranking on this, or is it all
No, it's
roulette?
not. I just did the cartoon roulette as like one thing.
Okay, it is technically how it aired in Cartoon Roulette, so
It,
that would probably up the quality level here.
so
Because those shorts are really good.
I guess like a bit of behind the scenes info here. So I actually made this list because looking on tier list maker, there was like when you put in Toonami, they weren't releasing great ones, and some of them were pretty outdated. So I just thought to do the list myself, and I went by the Toonami wiki, like the list of series on there. And at first, I was actually going to do both shows and movies, and then I realized how big of a task that was. So
No, we
No,
are not
no, sir.
ranking
no, no,
Ghibli films.
yeah, no. So it was going to be super complicated with like a bunch of shows, specials, and movies. So I was like, you know what? Let me just leave it to the series. So yeah, so that's how I did it. So like, I'm hoping that I at least got like a good chunk of stuff in there. I did keep the total immersion events though, because I feel like those should count. But I get so. How do y'all feel about Cartoon Roulette? Like Sketch gave his thought. Logan, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like it's one of those things because I mean, I was watching the block effectively when it was brand new. The only downside I had was we didn't have a West Coast feed of Cartoon Network at the time. So of course, for a block that starts at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, for me it was starting at 1 o'clock. So I was tending to have to record it, and I just got lucky that the day it premiered, I was homesick from school. So I was watching all these shows, and the thing is, yeah, like they're not as a whole. Most of the shorts are kind of meh, but like you also can't ignore between Space Ghost and Superman, like how important that stuff all was kind of to the block and a lot of its identity that's carried on all the way till now. So I don't know, like if I'm ranking them both kind of as their importance to the block and overall quality, I'd probably give them an A, mostly because of Superman. But I honestly, that's probably where I'd put them.
Huh.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think an A might be a little high, but because of the Superman shorts, and
hmm.
like as he mentioned in the Toonami bumps, the Superman shorts are so important, and so
Yeah,
are a bunch of the other
Yeah.
roulette shows.
I was gonna say, isn't the "We won't be intimidated by criminal threats" like
Yeah,
came
Yeah.
from
Yep.
yeah,
Superman?
hmm
Yeah. Huh.
yeah.
All right.
Lots of those great clips came from those old shows. So I definitely wouldn't give it lower than a B, but I would be comfortable giving it an A.
Let's see. JP, how do you feel on
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I'm with them too. Just for importance of the block, I would put it. I would not be mad putting it in A. I had it in B, but I wouldn't be mad with A. I know the
Uh,
importance of the show. Like I said, I didn't watch it initially, but knowing how it impacted the block, especially with the Superman shorts, I'll definitely be comfortable with the A.
all right. So I guess Cartoon Roulette's going in the A tier. Hooray. So next on our list.
The galaxy is in the grip of a great evil, King Khan and his roguish rule. But there is a hope. The mighty robot, piloted by 5 daring space explorers, loved by good, feared by evil. Ultron, today at 4:45, only on Toonami.
Voltron. So yet again, funny story with me. This is kind of a similar story to like I guess with Thundercats, because so I mentioned a lot. There was a period in my time to where I watched a lot of the Nicktoons Network, And it was during that time they kind of tried being an action channel for a while there, because I remember they had DBZ Kai and like some other stuff. And I actually remember they had a Voltron show on there. So
They did.
yet again, it's another funny story of me seeing that Voltron show and thinking, oh, that's just new. And then what do you know? It was actually based off something that's older, which correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Voltron something that originated in Japan that like they changed
Yeah,
They
kind of
Roboteched it.
Yep.
yeah, I was gonna say like similar situation like Power Rangers and or Robotech.
They licensed a show. They licensed the wrong show, not the one they asked for. And I believe this is a case where they didn't even have the script, so they just kind of wrote the story however they could based on the footage and edited
Pretty
it to
much,
be
yeah.
because it's pretty violent, so they had to edit a lot to make it safe for syndicated American television.
Yeah, Media Blasters, when they put out the original Go Lion, which is what Voltron was built off
They
of,
had to re-edit
they-
it.
they straight up, they're like, oh, look at, like, this isn't your daddy's Voltron, and it's showing, like, all the times that, like, you know, one of the main characters in Voltron who, you know, like, he's killed in Go Lion after, like, 5 or 6 episodes, and in the original, they're like, oh, look, I can see his parachute, and, oh, he fell into the moat, it's so good that he survived, and it's like, oh, or that shuttlecraft full of diplomats, like, it's a good thing that we replaced them with robot replicas and before they got blown up. It's like, you know, it's just, yeah, they totally had to edit it down from what Go Lion was. And the fact that Voltron turned out as anywhere as coherent as it did with those kind of edits is honestly a miracle.
That's
And
amazing.
it became an institution.
It did. Like, it was, for me, you know, I watched it in the 80s. It was the first anime I ever watched. Like, had no idea it was an anime at the time, but it was the first anime I ever watched.
Yeah, same for me. That Voltron was the first anime that introduced me to the genre, and it's legendary around these parts, around this hood.
Yeah, so I was gonna say like I guess Voltron's like I guess the first quote unquote like anime to air on Toonami, because like it's funny to think about Toonami as an anime block when like a lot of the first shows that played on it weren't even anime. They were like old like 80s like action shows. But yeah, so how would you all rank it then?
It's, I mean, for me, it's honestly, it's like a B, because again, it's one of those, like, from a personal level, it holds a lot of meaning because it was my first anime, but at the same time, like, the show's not actually that great. I mean, it's kind of corny. The biggest thing it has going for it is if you're like me and you're you know, a fan of like Super Sentai and Power Rangers, you don't really mind the kind of monotonous, like, hey, we've got some random plot and then let's turn into the robot and let's save the day and that's it. And for you know, out of 50 episodes, like 44 of them are basically just that same, you know, same formula every week, and then randomly there's a little bit of plot here and there. So it's like, yeah, it's like a B for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go with B myself. It's definitely corny, especially in today's world. Yes, I'll go with B.
So I guess we all
I would lean towards C, but I can compromise.
I guess I'll put it on B, and if any other show lands on B, could go above Voltron. Like put it at a late B, like what, like leave it at the last.
Bottom of B.
Bottom B.
Yeah, it's like straddling the line between B and C.
Yeah, that's what I did with my list. So yeah.
All right. Well, that was Voltron, and
give me a test count, Johnny.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Heads up, ugly!
I am now in control. Mad scientist, crazed terrorist, ruthless spies, evil minions. One team shutting them down. Race, Johnny,
Hang on!
Dr. Quest, and Bandit. The total package. The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, today at 5:30. Only Toonami.
now I haven't seen this, but I know it's a meme, like among like even Jason and all that. The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. I know I know for a fact because I think I've seen like a couple statements and just like old promos. No one wanted Johnny Quest on there. Like, am I right on that? Or because I think I even remember seeing a Moltar promo to where he's like, oh, Johnny Quest is taken off the block, and like they made it a joke. I forgot what it was, but I just remember.
Yeah, for the 1 week when they played Beast Wars, which
Which
was a far superior show. But
It
you know
was.
what? I think I'll be the guy to defend the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. I liked that show. I didn't see it on Cartoon Network because I didn't have Cartoon Network at the time, but I believe it was on TNT, and I watched it,
Yes.
and I liked it. I thought it was pretty solid. You know, there were some episodes that were definitely better than others. There were some episodes that were wildly better animated than others. But overall, I think it's a pretty good show. Is it as iconic as the original? By no means. I do really love the remix of the opening song, though.
Yeah,
And
the opening song
Yeah.
is good.
that
So-
all said, I mean, at best, it's a C.
So what you're saying is that they need to air Real Adventures of Johnny Quest during Toonami Rewind. Okay.
Okay, we ain't gonna go that far
Jason-
now. We
Jason
ain't gonna go
would
that
never.
far.
Jason would never put it on Me TV Tunes.
There you
I just want to say when he made that tweet of like, oh, what do you want to see on Toonami Rewind? There was a shocking amount of people saying Johnny Quest. So, like
Oh.
And he's
Johnny.
like, we never played Johnny Quest. What are you talking about?
So how would y'all rank Johnny Quest then?
I'd put it at like a D. My biggest problem with it is
Woo!
it had that same. It did the same thing that so many shows. Hell, even Voltron had its own CGI sequel in the mid '90s, where that was the
Yeah,
thing was
that
all these
CGI
cartoons
was bad.
were experimenting with this CGI stuff, and it was not ready for that kind of thing yet. Like it just the only saving grace for Johnny Quest was it had the traditional animation for a good percentage of the show. So I don't know. I guess I'd be willing to put it at C though.
All right.
Now with me,
Bottom of C.
Yeah.
but now with me, I put it in F. Initially put it in F. I'm with Sketch. I didn't watch the show when on Toonami, but I did watch it on TNT. So my childhood is kind of being hurt by this. But I will agree with a D, probably like a low D.
All right, I
Yeah.
guess the deciding factor will be Sam, who finally joined us. Hello, Sam.
I've been here for a few minutes now.
I didn't look at the Discord window because I had two tabs of Chrome open, and then the corner of my eye, I look at Discord on my phone, and I saw you were in the call, and I'm like, oh, let me go and pull you out of there. So welcome in. We already ranked Cartoon Roulette, Voltron, and Thundercats, and you'll be the deciding factor for Johnny Quest. So how do you feel about Johnny Quest?
Real Adventures.
The Real Adventures of Johnny
Okay.
Quest.
The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest I have not seen since I was a child, so my memory of it is very, very hazy. So I think I remember liking it, but I don't remember much about it afterwards. So I'd
Okay.
probably
So Logan says C. Scat, you said D.
No,
Jay-
I said C.
I
Oh, you
said
said
D.
C?
Yeah.
Oh, you said D. Okay,
He
so
wanted
then
to give it an F.
I'll do the bottom of C. Or yeah, the bottom of C.
I'll go with C. Yeah, I'll go with C.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll give it that respect.
Attention! Clear the streets and take cover. Take cover at once. They can't be doing this. They can't.
Annihilation. Total destruction.
Are they all destroyed?
Blast them to bits. Let's get on with it.
All right, our next contender, Robotech, which I did hear about. I never watched it, but I did it yet again. It was like it was 3 different anime, right? That 3 different like shows, like mecha
I
shows.
believe only what was Macross was what aired on Toonami.
Yeah, they only aired the Macross saga out of Robotech.
Which was probably a good choice.
That was, yeah, because honestly,
Yeah.
the Masters and the New Generation, or whatever the hell the other 2 parts are called, the ones based on Mos Pieta and Southern Cross, aren't that good. I mean, my biggest problem with Robotech, at least today, is that because of its existence, Harmony Gold still refuses to let us have the original Macross show, so it's really irritating. But I mean, feelings on that aside, it's kind of like Voltron in that it was cut together and smoothed out for American audiences, and then you have the we'll take a bunch of unrelated shows and kind of smash them together into one big thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a foundational show. So many people grew up watching it, and it's another one of those didn't know it was anime kind of things. So for me, I'd probably put it as a C. For me, it's not as good as Voltron, but it's around the same kind of ranking. It holds up better just because Macross as a foundational show is better, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
From my understanding, Robotech, despite being a massacre, it actually maintained a lot of its themes and was a kind of a heavy show for a kids anime in the 80s.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I give it some points for that, for maintaining some of its integrity. It also loses points because Harmony Gold sucks forever. But
I was gonna say, so what do you think it was ahead of its time or something like that? Or
a little bit, yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, it holds on to, like you said, it holds on to a lot of its themes from its source material. So it's definitely heavier than a lot of that toyetic stuff. Like, hey, watch Voltron to buy the lions and buy the monster toys. Yeah, Robotech was still a toy commercial because it had the toys, but it definitely kept more of its underlying theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would rank it above Voltron personally, even though I like Voltron more.
So
yeah, I'm
silly robot shows.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same too. Above Voltron, yeah.
Above Voltron. Sam, did you ever watch Robotech or no?
No, not really.
Okay then. So it's a B and it goes above Voltron. Next.
All next week at 5:30, Johnny Quest packs his bags.
What gives?
And Toonami goes to war.
We've got a full-scale threat attack!
Open fire! For 1 week only. To your stations, quickly! Beast Wars. All next week at 5:30. Transformers 90s style. Only on Toonami.
Proximity alert. Proximity alert.
Flash. We have Transformers Beast Wars. I don't know much about this. I think it was it because I know around that time there was a boom on a bunch of CG shows because there was that and Reboot. And that's about all I know.
Transformers Beast Wars at the time was the best Transformers show.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it holds up really well despite the CGI.
Yeah, and that was another thing because out of all the Transformers stuff that I hear about, I remember a lot of people saying Beast Wars was really good and all that.
I think the reason Beast Wars, as far as its CGI, kind of holds up, it's obviously nothing compared to what we have now.
Because they're animals and robots and not.
Yeah,
humans.
exactly. The sort of clunkier, almost blobbier CGI design actually worked with the designs they came up with. It didn't feel like such an afterthought, and so you didn't have the weird claymation humans because everything was designed for what they were working with. It feels like so. Yeah, it's just a good show.
Yeah, it's a really good show.
Really good show. Yeah.
but it only aired 5 episodes on 1 week, and I don't even know if those were like the best episodes of that show.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was looking at the wiki and it said like only 5 aired out of 52,
I
like
think
for a
it
week in
was
March.
some of the like trans metals episodes,
That sounds right.
which like if we're talking the whole show and it was around for the entire time, I would have called an S. But since it was just those 5 episodes, I could give it an A.
Yeah, I'd go A.
I'll
A.
go with A. Yeah, A.
Would you put it above or below the cartoon roulette?
Ooh.
Probably below,
Oh.
just because it's that 5 episode situation again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I guess A tier.
As an aside, I've always been confused with tier lists as to where the top and the bottom is.
Same.
So the furthest left is the top.
Yes, the
Of a
furthest
tier.
left is the
Okay.
top, and the furthest
Okay.
right is the lower.
Got it.
There are some tier lists where they don't do that. It's just like whatever's on A, B, or C. But you know, differing opinions. So some people
That's
will do
baby
that.
mode.
Yeah. So,
fellas, I'm ready to get up and do my thing. Can I count it on? Can I
It's a
count it
total
on?
eclipse of the heart.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, wait, cool.
Can I count it on? Can I count it on? 1, 2, 3, 4.
moving on, and finally, something I can give my opinion on. The first, I guess, I don't want to say the first anime because we just mentioned Voltron, but one of the biggest classics to air on the block, and which recently got a resurgence thanks to Rewind, Sailor Moon. Um, being honest, because I was binging a lot of old shows. When it came to the long shows, I sampled them, and I probably didn't give Sailor Moon enough at the time because I only saw the first 10 episodes, and like I later learned because I looked up Sailor Moon in terms of like filler and manga canon and all that, and like in the first 10 episodes, only 3 of those are actually canon, while the rest of them are filler. So episode 1 is Usagi turning into Sailor Moon, followed by a bunch of pointless stuff, and then the next Guardian gets introduced. I forgot who it was. Mercury. Mercury. So like by the time I was done, I think Sailor Moon, Mercury, and what was the red one? Venus. Mars. Were introduced, and if I had given it enough time, I probably would have better appreciated it. But all I was thinking of in those first 10 episodes was Usagi, shut the fuck up. that is literally because like I don't know, she just annoyed.
Hey, Tuxedo Mask, can you do something, please? Thank you.
Oh yeah, I mean my work here is done. I just like look, I can appreciate it, and I know it's definitely stuck with a lot of people. I've seen a million Sailor Moon references everywhere, and I know this also kind of was like the beginning, or I guess the boom of like the magical girl genre, because I know there's like a lot of shows that take inspiration from it. So I will give it points for kind of starting
a really big deal.
I know, like for kind of starting a whole genre, and I know a lot of people are like are still near and dear to this day. So I mean, for me, let's see. I mean, in my opinion, I would maybe give it between A or B. How do you guys feel about it?
My personal bias, I would put it in S because this was the first anime I watched religiously when I was young. Back when it was airing on syndication. I think it was on my local Fox, and I just watched it religiously. And my friends like, "You watching Sailor Moon? Like, what the hell's wrong with you, boy?" Like, but it's a good show. I would be okay if y'all put in A, but my personal opinion it would be an S, just because that's the one I grew up the most.
Yeah, I was also gonna say I think also around that time because DBZ was on at the time, but since Sailor Moon played before DBZ, I know it was like
Yeah.
a test for a lot of people of like, do you watch Sailor Moon to get to DBZ or just wait for DBZ?
Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
I know that was like a thing. But yeah, how did the rest of y'all feel about Sailor Moon?
Sailor Moon is really good. You go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead,
All right.
please.
Yeah, Sailor Moon is really good. You know, I was a teenager when I was watching this on Toonami next to DBZ and Gundam Wing and Ronin Warriors, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think I paid nearly enough attention to it. Despite that, I probably didn't see most of the episodes. Obviously, it's a huge show. Some people would knock it off points because of the Deke dub in particular.
Yeah,
Other people are very nostalgic for it.
I was gonna say,
so,
I
and
should.
now we can rank the Viz dub too. So that does actually make the question: are we ranking both dubs right? Or rather, all three dubs right now? Because there's the Deke, then Cloverway took over, and now we have Viz. Because obviously, the old Sailor Moon is quite a bit different from uncensored Sailor Moon, which we now have. And I would say I would rank uncensored Sailor Moon higher, but if we're going with like the legacy Sailor Moon that ran on Toonami for multiple years, I might even give it a B, but I could live with A.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like I do know like some of the changes, like the infamous like turning the lesbian couple into cousins.
Yeah.
Sailor Says, and I'm trying
but those things have their charm.
And also that like I was gonna make a joke. Is like, which version of Sailor Moon do we rank? And I was gonna say
which version has the most talent.
I was gonna say, nah, we rank the Saban pilot.
Oh no! I mean, I'm bringing up this argument now because we're gonna have this argument again about some other shows, some big shows. So it just, the fact that only 2 episodes of uncut Sailor Moon have actually aired so far is definitely a factor. But yeah, regardless, Sailor Moon is a hugely important show. Like this, a lot of people will give Dragon Ball Z all the credit for making Toonami what it became, but Sailor Moon was a huge factor in there. It was a 1-2 punch. So for Legacy of the Block, I suppose I'd have to give it an A.
Yeah, I'd go A also because it's, you know, again, like looking at the legacy, like, yeah, you know, fine, you can say that, you know, Robotech and Voltron were obviously, you know, like earlier anime, but like Sailor Moon was the first, like, this is just an anime. Like, we're not splicing 2 random shows together, you know, any of that. Like, it was just flat out like, here's this show. Like, yeah, it had the different, you know, seasons and you know, S&R and all that stuff in Japan, but like, you know, from that standpoint, like it was just flat out like this is the show. So like, you know, it kind of it definitely gets credit for that. And you know, yeah, I mean the old dub, it's like you said, you know, it's nostalgic because, you know, the name changes and stuff like that, you know, are clearly not, you know, what they were supposed to be. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a good show. You know, I mean, the fact that, you know, they even bothered to redub it, what, 30 years later, like that kind of goes to show you just how, you know, how important it is in just anime in general. So yeah, like I definitely put it as an A.
Time for you to grovel at my feet, Sailor Moon.
I certainly hope this works.
Sailor Moon will return in a moment on Toonami's Lunar Eclipse. watching Dragon Ball Z on Toonami.
Sam, did you watch Sailor Moon?
As a kid, yes. I wasn't into it as a kid. I don't know how I feel about it now because I haven't really watched the show since I was a kid. But I pretty much would agree and put it in the A because Legacy and all the points that Logan and Sketch brought up, those were really great points.
All right then. So, but now the real question is, would you put it at the top of A, like over Cartoon Roulette and Beast Wars, or somewhere in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Top of
This
A.
one goes out to all the ladies.
I did see
all
that
the
one.
baddies.
All right, and next.
I will make this whole planet suffer! This can't be happening! I am the Prince of all Saiyans once again!
Another Toonami classic, one that kickstarted a freaking generation. Dragon Ball Z.
S tier.
Yes.
So
all I gotta say is Dragon Ball needs to rank higher.
I like Dragon Ball a lot more than DBZ.
Put Z wherever you will, but Dragon Ball needs to rank higher than.
I have to agree.
I'm gonna put in S tier because I know it's a lot. It means a lot, and it did inspire an entire generation. Like literally, without DBZ, a lot of people.
I do have to give it huge points for legacy, but if I was going for quality of the show, I'd put it in B.
So I guess so for me, because yet again I'm a zoomer. Well, I'm a zoomer, I'm not a.
I watched that show religiously.
Same here.
But it's got problems. Okay.
I was gonna say because I know there's like the multiple different dubs. Like y'all started with the Ocean dub, and then I know that it looped after like Goku beats Raccoon, and then like it came back under the Funimation dub, and
season 3 was rough.
and the Falconer score. I know. So like for me, because earlier I mentioned that I watched the Craptoon and Nicktoons Network. DBZ Kai was one of them. So my exposure to Dragon Ball was Nicktoons Network DBZ Kai. But then I would later see Kai air on Toonami, which then exposed me to Toonami. But like at one point, I did do some internet research because I had a smartphone on me at the time, and I did see a lot of clips, and I was always thinking to myself, "Damn, this version of DBZ looks cool. Like the music sounds awesome. Like they're spilling blood because Nicktoons didn't have the blood." And all that, and there was a point to where I would put DBZ over Kai, but like now I see, but that's getting ahead of myself. But like I did see some of original DBZ with the Falconer score. I actually own one of the orange box sets because I think
and
I
you're
saw
proud of that.
At the time, yes.
Bro, I have all the Dragon boxes.
Like because I think I
That's
saw
my flex.
I think I saw it on sale when I went to the store, and it was like the set with during the Cell Saga, because like one of my favorite fights is Android 17 versus Piccolo. Feel like that's a very underrated fight in my opinion, which I'm so happy in Super they called back to that when they met up again. But yeah, so I did see a lot of original. I mean, not a lot, but like I did see original DBZ. I did look at some clips of Ocean Dub too. Like I think I watched the entirety of like Goku fight Vegeta in the Ocean Dub. Um, and obviously over 9,000.
What?
I mean,
There's no way that could be right.
Yeah, but yeah.
And it wasn't. It was 8,000.
A funny little tidbit though, because I didn't see this, and I saw it, and it was in a Did You Know video. Apparently, when the Nicktoons airing of DBZ Kai happened,
Yes.
they did have Vegeta say it's over
Over
9,000,
9,000.
like
But in the
similar.
uncut dub, he said over 8,000.
Yeah, so like he still kind of said it.
Yeah,
But I
and
mean,
he tried to do the Brian Drummond thing.
yeah. Well, I guess that's me and DBZ. How about everyone else?
I will honestly, it's S-rate for me. Just not just for legacy purposes, but just it literally carried Toonami on its back for the longest time. And
That's
I remember,
undeniable.
yeah. And with me, it's like if you missed the episode, you had to either wait till the next day, or you had to go. I had to go to my local store and get the bootleg DVDs just to catch up with everything. So with that said, it's definitely an S rank. Just the importance of it, just not just for Toonami, but for anime in general, in my opinion.
True.
Also,
Yeah, like it was such a cultural thing. Like, you know, we've all seen that it's like New York Times or something, you know, that article about, you know, why are kids flocking to this violent cartoon? And, you know, it's like even now, like, you know, sure, it's for Super, but you get the whole, you know, Goku as a balloon in the Thanksgiving Day parade and stuff like that. Like, if it wasn't for the way DBZ popped off on Toonami, like the entire landscape of the anime industry would be so different. Like, it's so foundational in just in general. Like, it's, you know, so yeah, like, you know, even when you know, look at the quality of, like, yeah, okay, Kai was able to cut basically like half the episode content without really losing any of the plot. And so it's like, yeah, does the show kind of meander? Yeah, sure it does, but it's an entertaining show, and it's one of those shows that, like, if I were looking for something to just, you know, put on and just kind of zone out to, like, that's not a bad choice.
Yeah, one other thing I should have mentioned was that, like, also, like, because I didn't read this until recently, that, like, at the time when when Toonami aired DBZ, Funimation was gonna go into bankruptcy, so them
Oh
selling
yeah.
Yeah.
the broadcast rights
Toonami
to
saved Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Z saved Toonami.
and
Absolutely.
it's just wild to think of how they are operating nowadays, but that's a topic for another day that I'm not going to get into.
But what have you done for me lately, Toonami?
And then also, just like, unfortunately, like I think like 3 months ago, we lost Akira Toriyama, which is a massive loss. Not just for the anime community, but for the world as a whole. Like, when you got entire, like, governments mourning, you know you did something right. But anyone else have anything to say on DBZ?
I think of DBZ as like this pop culture icon. Just like, it's so massive that it kind of eclipses anime itself. Like, you don't have to be an anime fan to know what Dragon Ball Z is. Everyone has heard of it, even if they've never watched a single episode. So that's a big deal to be kind of like seen as like a pop culture icon, sort of similar to other shows and movies. It's really interesting how that all happened because Toonami ran it and it became popular through there. So yeah, I think that makes a whole lot of sense.
All right, DBZ S tier it is. So I guess we should move on now.
Calling the Super Friends. We're ready to explore.
Not long ago, one band of heroes was all the world needed.
Looks like we've got a job to do. Right.
Wonder Twin Power!
This is a job for Superman. What? Someone mentioned Batman?
One gang of villains was the only thing standing in their way.
It's the Catwoman.
Toonami's bringing back the good old days. Super Friends. Today at 4:30.
Next is Super Friends. I don't know a whole lot. So I'm once again clueless. So who here watched Super Friends?
That Hanna-Barbera DC show?
Yes, it was from 73 to 86. And yeah, it was Hanna-Barbera. It was essentially 70s Justice League.
It was, it was kind of like the last, in a sense, like the last gasp of, at least for a time, the last gasp of like Western animation to kind of end up on the block, like, well, not even Western animation, I guess, like classic, like older stuff. In fact, I mean, that was probably the last like pre-90s show, I want to say, that ended up on there, maybe 80s. But like, yeah, I mean, it's, for me, it's like a D tier. Like, it's entertaining enough, but it's, compared to some of the other DC related stuff that will come up later, it's just kind of paling. Like, it's a little goofy, I guess, is kind of my thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in the same board with that. I didn't watch Super Friends till around it was airing on Boomer Action. That's when I would start watching it. But yeah, it's kind of it. I don't really have no opinion on it. It was just kind of goofy. It was like, whatever.
There's a certain charm to it, but here's an interesting caveat. Like, when people think of Super Friends, they don't really think about what Toonami aired as Super Friends. What they actually aired was it was some episodes of Super Friends and also a bunch of episodes from the Filmation series, The New Adventures of Superman, Aquaman Hour, and Adventures of Batman, Superman Hour.
Huh.
So that's not really the Super Friends that people think of as the Super Friends. And it's definitely not the quality that certain seasons of the Super Friends achieved. So I'd give it a D.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
D rank it is. And next up,
There is a world inside your computer. A place where guardians protect the mainframe by battling in the games. The reward is survival. The penalty, deletion. The enemy is you. Toonami's all digital. Today at 4:30.
Big X money.
a show that I know is like once again like it set like a trend, not a trend, or like it did stuff for CG like at the time. Same with like Beast Wars, and also and also it'll soon have an HD master courtesy of Discotech Media. Am I right, Logan?
No, stop saying that. I wish, but no.
Don't play with my emotions like that.
We don't have the rights to it. Come on.
I had to. I'm sorry. I had to.
I see how it is. You can get Street Sharks, but you can't get Reboot.
So Reboot. I did not watch it, but I know that it was a monument or something like that. Like it pretty much like I don't know, something related to like CG and like at the time, like same with Beast Wars.
I believe it was the first fully CG animated TV cartoon.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Sounds right.
Yeah,
and despite that, it had some of the best CG animation at the time.
Well, I mean, it's it's Mainframe who also did Beast Wars, and it feels like the thing about Mainframe is they understood the assignment. Like they didn't try to make a regular cartoon but CGI. They leaned into, okay, here's what the CGI lets us do. Let's work around that. And
it's inside of a computer, so anything goes.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, is that gives them the flexibility of, not being beholden to trying to make stuff look real. They can make it cartoony, and so that's why it works.
Yes. And this show gradually ups the ante, where it's, kind of fun adventures in the first season, and then it gets dark.
It does.
Absolutely. Yes.
It really matures with its audience, and overall, though I have some qualms with the final movies, the show is really, really good and holds up well. I'd give it an A.
I would put it as an A also. Like it also taught a generation a lot more about, especially at the time, the burgeoning, computer era, than you might expect for a kid's cartoon. Like, obviously you look at it now and it's like the stuff it's going over is pretty out of date. But at the time, like, a lot of the stuff it explained with, like, the internet and computers in general was actually incredibly accurate.
Damn. So what
Yeah, I
y'all
agree. I would go with A myself. I used to watch this back when it was aired on ABC.
Me too,
And,
man.
and it's crazy how it got grittier during the later seasons. And I commend Mainframe for actually taking that kind of a risk. And they fired on all levels, and it's one of the best shows, best CGI shows out there. Probably one of the greatest cartoons of all time, in my opinion. So I'll definitely go with A, probably a high A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, did you watch Reboot?
As a kid, but I don't remember anything about it.
I mean, I guess if an HD remaster does come out, I might check it out once that happens, because it will happen. I mean, like, they got the tapes, and like they're working hard to like get the right equipment to like pull those out. And I think
Yeah, but temper your expectations, because those old tapes aren't storing HD masters of that show. That show was not export in high definition back then. All this is really going to give them is a nice, clean, standard definition master. Now, could it handle being upscaled? Maybe, but you got to temper your expectations about getting an HD version, because it's not like they're going to be re-rendering it or anything like that.
Nah, unfortunately.
What was I going to say? So where would y'all put this on A? After Sailor Moon, before Cartoon Roulette?
After Sailor Moon.
After Sailor Moon, yeah.
All right, next.
Blossom, Bubbles, Buttercup. 3 superheroes with an attitude and a curfew.
And just where have you 3 been? We were out fighting crime!
The Powerpuff Girls, weekdays 5:30. Then check them out in surround sound.
And our name in life.
We were hip before hip was cool.
So when I was doing the list, I was just gonna be like, oh, I'm only gonna include shows that are unique to Toonami, no Cartoon Network shows. But then I was
not.
But I just said at the time. But then I was like, well, you know what? Technically, whatever aired on Toonami technically counts as Toonami ran. So this technically counts. So the Powerpuff Girls. Now I did watch Powerpuff Girls, not on Toonami, but on Cartoon Network. So I mean, I have not seen it in a long time, but I do remember having a lot of fun with it. And I mean, yeah, I guess I could agree S tier, because it was also not the first, but it was like one of the first Cartoon Network original series, because like they had like a bunch of Hanna-Barbera stuff.
And it was definitely the first Cartoon Network original series to air on Toonami. Not that there were many.
The ones before it didn't really fit, but yeah, like it's probably a little overblown, but I'd say that, like, in a sense, Sailor Moon walked so that Powerpuff Girls could run, at least when it comes to Toonami.
I mean, I could, now that I've seen Sailor Moon, like, I could definitely see a lot of its DNA in Powerpuff Girls, and like I know and I know the show holds special place in a lot of people's heart. I actually remember when they were doing that big marathon to celebrate like how many years it's been out. I forgot the was it 10 years? But I remember they were celebrating a milestone by doing like a whole like 24/7 marathon of it, and then in the end they gave like a new special, which was kind of like an epilogue or something.
Must have been 20.
20? Because I do remember this was like mid 2000s.
Oh, mid
Like
2000. Okay, then it would have
yeah,
been 10.
I think I know what you're talking about. I
because
think
I remember
that wasn't the reboot, was it?
No. I'm talking.
That was before the reboot.
Because I was gonna say, because I also remember they were advertising that all of that complete series DVD, like at the time too.
Which
But
they
yeah,
recently reprinted.
yes. So how do you? So I guess Powerpuff Girls on S. Like, how does everyone else feel about it?
Yeah,
I should go with S myself.
It's a really good show.
Okay.
I don't really
would
know
go
if it's Toonami, but
I'd go out on a limb and say, even though, okay, so the Powerpuff Girls was kind of a big deal for Toonami for various reasons, but it was kind of like a flash in the pan. They aired it a bit, and then it was gone forever. But as far as quality of show goes, it's easily S, and it might be like top 5 Toonami ever. So,
all right.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, I keep cutting off.
Oh no, you good.
All right, so S it is then. Would you say it's above or below DBZ?
It's got to be below DBZ.
Below.
Yeah. All right, I guess moving on.
They struck without warning. In an instant, the city was enslaved.
We will fill this world with destruction, suffering, and death.
In the name of Emperor Tolva, the Dark Lords of the Netherworld had come to claim our dimension.
Wait with me!
But an ancient prophecy foretold 5 warriors would appear with the power to destroy the evil dynasty.
Whoa, what's happening? It has begun.
Ryo, Kento, Sai, Rowan, Sage, the Ronin warriors have returned to fight for our souls.
I will get rid of it once and for all! I don't think so!
This Monday, Ronin Warriors, weekdays at 5:30.
And to die! No way!
The boys are back in town. Only Toonami.
Ronin Warriors. I did not see this, but yet again, I'd like correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't this also another case of different shows cut into one?
No. This
Oh.
was actually a really well handled edited dub. It's pretty authentic, really.
Yeah, they didn't cut very much. I mean, I worked on the Discotheque Blu-ray, and like
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I did the subtitles, like most of them. But like, yeah, the thing is, like, most of the stuff that they cut was it was honestly more for time than it was for anything else. So they cut like the next episode previews, they cut the title cards and just moved like the episode titles over the top of like just regular episode footage. So like most of the cuts to it were actually pretty innocuous. The biggest joke I always have is it's like people go, oh, can we get Saint Seiya? No, we have Saint Seiya at home, and then they show Ronin Warriors. But the thing is, like, Ronin Warriors actually has an audience in the U.S. I know there are people that love Saint Seiya out there. I'm sorry, it does not have an audience in the U.S. Like, if you like it, good for you. I'm happy for you. But no, like, Ronin Warriors is not Diet Saint Seiya or anything like that. It's very much its own thing, and I like it. I mean, I'd probably put it at a B myself, but.
And currently, Silver is banging on Logan's door right now for all the stuff he said about Saint Seiya.
Sorry.
This is another one that Paul Pasquale will be like S tier. But I'm gonna be a little more reasonable. I think B is fine.
B.
Yeah.
What about
Toonami has aired a lot of shows, a lot of really great shows, and a lot of okay shows. And like, if you compare Ronin Warriors to some modern anime that have aired on Toonami, it's really good. Okay, it's pretty good. I'd give it a B.
Are we all feeling B?
Yep.
All right, I guess we'll put in B. Now, would you say it's above Robotech, below Voltron, or in between?
I'd put it above Robotech and Voltron.
Robotech.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Galactor's armies threaten our very existence.
Maniac!
The best hope for survival? Goodheart, Daring, June, Hoodal, and Pee-wee.
Transform!
G-Force.
Fly!
Join the struggle. Next.
Firebird mode!
The youth of the world must rise up to save us.
And our next show is G-Force Guardians of Space. I don't know anything about this, sorry.
This is probably one of the lesser-known Gatchaman edited dubs. This I believe this is the one that Turner made themselves, and it only aired on Toonami's Midnight Run. It's kind of filler, so it's pretty down there. I'd hesitate to give it above a C.
Yeah, I'd probably put it around honestly, I'd probably put it at a D. I mean, it's fine. It's, like you said, it's the second attempt at adapting Gatchaman. I mean, it's fine. It was one of those shows that like Turner got because I think they could get it cheap, and it was good filler for their various networks. So it just gave them something to run, and in turn, it gave Cartoon Network something to just kind of throw on for filling time when they to put stuff on the schedule. So I mean, it's a fine enough show. It's not, wouldn't be
clearly they didn't care that much about it, considering they eventually got Battle of the Planets for Boomerang when they already had Battle for their Planets at home. But I think there are some people that would say G-Force was maybe more faithful in some ways. I don't know. It is complicated, but
yeah. Well, Battle of the Planets was like cut down. It was missing 30 episodes.
Yeah. And that was also the one that added like the stupid little robot.
Yeah.
So I do think G-Force is actually more faithful, but yeah, it's still not Gatchaman.
So D tier it is. So would this go above or below Super Friends?
Probably below, just because Super Friends has the DC pedigree.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess moving on, we have another classic show.
In the distant future, mankind has reached the stars, but the galaxy is troubled.
What do you think you're doing? Don't fire!
The Earthsphere Alliance rules the outlying colonies with an iron fist.
I'm sure God would understand the steps we're taking.
Isn't it about time you people realized the ones posing the most threat are none other than yourselves? We've had enough!
Those who oppose them...
We won't be needing you any further.
What?
Die. Battles are waged with mobile suits, the key to military dominance. The only hope for the colonies. 5 elite soldiers and their legendary mobile suits called Gundams.
There will be a day when the Gundams will save us all.
What this is war.
All of you are very mistaken, and the Gundams will soon come to rectify your mistakes.
Silence!
Now, these pilots will shake the foundations of the Alliance and change the course of history.
You saw I was a kid and you underestimated me.
Shouldn't be fighting at all!
If they can stay alive.
Those Gundam pilots are desperate. They'll battle even if it means forfeiting their lives. Mission accepted.
It's a Gundam! Enemy attack!
I'll eliminate all obstacles.
Just who are you anyway?
Say
From the Gundam universe, a new chapter in one of the greatest anime sagas of all time. Gundam Wing. Weekdays at 5:30. Suit up.
Those who have laid eyes on a Gundam shall not live to tell about it.
Only Toonami.
Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, and a show that I actually decided to spend a lot of time watching the entire thing. And I am sorry, I can never understand the plot to a lot of Gundam series because it's like
War is bad.
War is bad. Oh, cool robot.
Yes.
Speaking of, there are currently skins in Call of Duty.
In the year 2000, I thought Gundam Wing was the coolest stuff ever.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And then I saw a good Gundam show.
So, like,
Yeah.
sorry. Like, I should also note that, like, when I was doing this binge, I was like, okay, because there's a lot of Gundam that Toonami aired. I'm only going to choose a single Gundam show. Like, I'm not going to, because a lot of these shows are pretty long. So I'm like,
you've chosen a better Gundam
You
show.
chose the worst one.
How was I supposed to know? Because in my head, I'm like, well, everyone talks about Gundam Wing. I always hear Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing was like the classic, so I'm like, let me do Gundam Wing. And I saw it, and like there were.
Like that shit is actually better than Gundam Wing.
Well, I'm sorry. One day, but like,
One day.
I saw, and like when I could actually follow along with the story, I actually, pretty enjoyed it. Like enjoyed it. But I swear to God, like near the end, it's like they kept changing who's the bad guy. Like, oh, like I'm thinking Zex Marquis is the bad guy. No, it's like the fucking you see, I'm already getting lost. Like the Foundation. But then like,
the Foundation were definitely bad guys.
Yeah, and then the Foundation, but then like all of a sudden
Zex is like, I'm going to do something so bad that it will stop all war. Yeah, good luck with
that. The thing about Gundam Wing is it was an attempt to speed run the core of the early Mobile Suit Gundam plot. In that it basically did Mobile Suit Gundam, Zeta Gundam, not really so much a double Zeta, and Char's counterattack. It basically did all of that in a 50 episode series. Like, so that's to its advantage and to its disadvantage in that
you put it that way.
It tries to condense way too much, but at the same time it does it without having to watch 150 episodes in a movie. Like, it's so, I mean, it, like I said, it has its strengths because of doing that, and it definitely has its weaknesses from doing that. The biggest thing is, again, it's obviously not anywhere near the level of DBZ, but it was kind of a cultural thing in that Bandai had tried to bring Gundam stuff over before. They'd already dubbed a couple of the OVAs, and they'd done a very, very goofy dub of the original Mobile Suit Gundam trilogy, and they never really took off. And when Gundam Wing got dubbed,
don't forget about Doozy Bots.
And of course, yes, there was Doozy Bots, the aborted attempt at making an SD.
I can't believe they were gonna make the kid with the wheelchair into the gun tank.
Into the gun tank. Oh my god, that like it's one of those like diversity, like of course we have the jock, and we have the girl, and we have the kid in the wheelchair. But yeah, they turned the kid in the wheelchair into the gun tank. It was like, what the hell is wrong with you people?
I like how that cast was just the Burger
I
King
want to
kid
look
show.
that up. I want to look that up now.
Like there's like a 9-minute video of, it was like a sales pitch video somewhere. There's an actual like full episode of like the pilot for it, but nobody's ever been able to find a copy of it. So I know people have checked into the Library of Congress, and it doesn't appear to be there. But yeah, I would love to actually see that. But the thing is, like, Gundam Wing, when it landed on Toonami, was like the thing that finally gave Gundam a foothold in the U.S. And has it had the staying power of like DBZ? No, not in any way. But like, Gundam Wing was important for that, but yes, like from a purely quality standpoint, there are far better Gundams that you can watch.
Well, I'm sorry I chose Gundam Wing over G Gundam, okay?
Don't be sorry for watching Wing. Wing still has very cool robots.
It's true. It has some of the coolest robots. I love those
like
designs.
Tall Geese and Epion are all timers.
Death Scythe.
Hell yes.
I will say, like, one of my favorite moments was like near the end, to where they're trying to fight Zex, and like someone was like in the background. I think they were gonna fire like a laser at him, but like I don't know if he dodged it or he tanked it. But then then he went up. I forgot the line, but I know he delivered like an extremely metal line, and then
I know the scene.
sliced the frickin' laser in half, or the cannon in half.
Barge was going to fire at the colonies or at Earth or something. Catra and Duo were rushing to try and stop it. They couldn't make it. Zex blasts by in the Epion, flies up to the control room, and basically says, "You're not needed in outer space," and then slices the entire barge station in half. Absolute epic moment.
It has its moments, for sure.
Yeah.
And I really like the core cast a lot. I enjoyed all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, because after I saw Wing, I did see Endless Waltz, and then Logan also brought my attention to a visual, like a picture novel that came out, like, to celebrate, like I don't know how many years, but like an anniversary.
It was the 20th anniversary. I think was when Frozen Teardrop released with the Blu-rays.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, because so then I watched that, and then he told me that there were novels that came out, and he just gave me a brief synopsis on those novels, and I'm like, it took over like 20 years, and like in a fucking novel, does this man like finally like confess his feelings to Relena, and it was funny as hell, because it was just like the entire time she's like fawning over him, and all this guy keeps saying is, "I'm gonna kill you."
Love. Is it truly love if you don't want to kill someone?
So how would you all rank Gundam Wing then?
C. Honestly, I have to give it a C. Much as
I would also give it a C.
Yeah,
a C.
C too.
C, really?
Like legacy-wise, maybe it deserves a B, but
I guess
that show.
I have to give it a C, knowing some of the other Gundams that are coming down the line.
Yeah,
that's why I have to give it a C.
Yeah, I have to agree as well.
Do you all agree?
At the top of C.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you all agree having it at the top?
Top C, yeah.
Okay.